Okay, so welcome to module number 4, the ad set. Now, in this module, we're basically going to break down everything that makes out a good ad set, everything from the targeting to the placement to the budget, and really breaking down the whole ad set so you fully understand what makes a good ad set, what makes a bad ad set, and how you can implement this into your own business. Okay, now, first things first, which is as well the most important, is the targeting. Okay, targeting is basically who is going to see your ad. Everything from interest to demographics to behaviors and any basically anybody that your ad will be shown to. So this is the first thing that I want to go over because there's a lot of misconceptions with targeting and people that sometimes don't do enough work and sometimes people that do way too much work. So let me first of all break down the actual audience section in the ad set. So when you actually release an ad set, you have this section that you see on the right where you can pick a custom audience, locations, ages, genders, languages, detailed targeting. And I really want to break down each one of them so everything is understandable and so that everything basically makes sense. Now, the first thing that you'll see when you actually open the ad set, when you actually start the targeting, is the custom audience row, which we will go into custom audiences later on in the program. But for those of you that don't know yet what is a custom audience, it's basically an audience that you build on your own in Facebook. Okay, you can basically upload an email list. You can actually build a custom audience from website traffic, from page engagers, from video viewers, lookalike audiences as well, and a lot more things. So basically what you do is, let's say you have an email list of 5,000 people, you can actually upload that to Facebook, create an audience, and then target these people with ads. You can take all the people that visited your website, okay, build an audience from them, and then target them, okay? It can be anything from 3,000 people to 50,000 people. You can take anybody that actually engage with your page and target them, and there's literally many things that you can do. And then you have like the lookalike audiences, which we'll go into much more in depth later on, which is basically taking your custom audiences and building bigger audiences from them using similar data. So if you have 1,000 buyers, Facebook will take those 1,000 buyers and then find another hundreds of thousands to millions of people that are similar to those buyers. And that could be anything from buyers to people that visited your website to people that left an email, and so on and so on. So that's basically a custom audience. That's how you target. This is where, if you want to target the custom audience, that's where you're going to put it. Okay, it's usually very targeted traffic because it's traffic that is usually pretty warm, right? Because email lists, website traffic, it's not really cold traffic unless it's a lookalike audience where it's a bit more colder, but it is pretty relevant. Afterwards, we have the location, which is basically the country or local radius. So you can actually pinpoint a certain place and then target anything around a mile to 50 miles around that place. Now, it's not really recommended to target more than one country at a time unless you're targeting a very broad offer. Okay, and unless you know what you're doing. I'll explain why. Because when you basically put a lot of countries stacked up together, what happens is that Facebook automatically optimizes on one of them and then it neglects a lot of them. So it's usually built good for scaling. Okay, like where we do very broad offers or very broad like landing pages, products, then we'll target sometimes worldwide or we'll stack up all the first world countries. But usual business that you'll do for your business, you'll probably don't want to really stack up a lot of things together. Okay, unless you are basically dealing with a very broad offer. What you can do is you can create one ad to United States, one ad to UK, one ad to Canada. The only time we really stack countries if we're not dealing with broad products, we still stack countries sometimes. But the only reason for us to stack a country is if it's very close to each other or the countries are very small. So, for example, we won't have an ad targeting Australia and an ad targeting New Zealand. We'll usually combine them because they're very close to each other. It's the same, pretty much a really similar audience. And for example, West Europe as well. If we'll take like Germany and Romania and Spain, I think Spain is West Europe. pretty sure. And sorry about my geography, I don't remember everything, but in the actual map, you'll be able to basically combine as many countries as you want. So if we go ahead and target, like for example, like West Europe, then then we'll just like put one on top of each other, and we'll target that because they're very close to each other and they're very very small usually, like a few million, hundreds of thousands up to a few millions. So that will be a good example of stacking. But usually when you target very big countries like the United States, which has 200 million on Facebook, you won't need to basically stack it up with more countries unless you're dealing with a very broad product or offer. Okay. Next is the age. Now, a note here is, first of all, if you're running a PPE, try to avoid ages 18 to 22 because a PPE will automatically optimize on the most engagers, and usually the most engagers are 18 to 22. So what will happen is that Facebook will usually show your ad mostly to these ages, and then what will happen is that you probably won't get a lot of sales, and then you'll blame the ad or the product or whatever when actually Facebook just decides to show your ad to 18 to 22. Even if I go ahead and target 18 to 65 plus and I do a PPE, now this isn't 100% of the times, of course, but I'm just warning you because if you go ahead and target even a PPE to 18 and 65, if Facebook sees that most of the engagers are 18 to 22, it will just show your ad mostly to those ages because that's what you told Facebook to optimize for engagers, right? Other than that, try not to basically decide for Facebook what ages are good for your offer, because I'll be honest, we always target very broad and like very broad ages, and then Facebook will just optimize on the converting ages anyway. So there's no reason to think for Facebook. There's no reason to target 25 to 28 or 32 to 45. Even if you did your research and even if you found that that's your ideal audience, there's no reason to actually do that. Because first of all, you get surprised a lot with who's actually buying your stuff. I remember when we used to target, like we were sure that 22 to 28 would be our buyers and we would target them. That was from our research. But then we just tried one ad very broad and we noticed that most of our buyers were like 55 to 65. And that really blew our mind. That was like a long time ago. So ever since we're very just like targeting very broad because anyway, Facebook will just optimize on the ages that work best for you. Okay. So there's no real reason to decide for Facebook the ages, unless there's an actual like definite reason, like if you I don't know, you're selling like college loans or something, then there's no reason to deal with people that of over the ages of 40, right? But usually you won't need to dial in on the ages. Okay, just let Facebook do its job and optimize for you. Of course, later on, if you scale, then we'll want to split the ages. But currently, there's no actual reason. Like when you send out your initial ad, just let Facebook do its own work. Okay, and if you're doing a PPE, maybe it's smarter to just go 23 and over. Okay, but other than that, if you're doing website conversions or you're optimizing for clicks, then it's okay to just go broad and then let Facebook basically do its own job. Then we have gender, which is basically the same thing, like what I said about ages, because Facebook again will optimize anyway. And don't think that if you're selling jewelry, then only women will buy, because sometimes males buy for their girlfriends, for their wives, for their sisters, and we've noticed a lot of times where we just we just let that run for we let an ad run for men and women, and it was obviously a woman product, like a ring or a necklace, and we noticed a lot of men that are buying it. Probably, I don't know if it's for them, but it's probably a gift. Right, so don't decide for Facebook and just target both males and females. Again, anyway, Facebook will optimize on what's converting better. So there's no reason to think for Facebook. And we got the language. Now, with language, I see people just putting English all the time, but there's really no reason to put English, because that's just basically with the interface that people are on. Like if they have English Facebook, then it'll show this to people that have an English Facebook. But sometimes people like Hispanic people have a Spanish Facebook, but they know English fluently. They just rather be on a Spanish Facebook. That doesn't mean they can't read English. It just means that they're more comfortable with Spanish. That's why there's no reason to put English in the language box unless you're targeting a non-English speaking country. Okay, if I'm gonna go and target France or Romania, then and I want to target an ad, and my ads are in English, then I'll probably put English. But when I'm targeting the US or UK or Canada or whatever, there's no actual reason to go ahead and target English. Okay, so that's something to remember. And then we have the final one, which is detailed targeting, which is basically where all the magic is done. This is really where you're gonna do most of your work. This is what people are interested in: audiences, keywords, pages, etc. Behaviors like are they parents? Are they homeowners? Do they own a car? Is their net worth over 50,000, over 500,000, and so on and so on. So this is really where your work is going to be done at the beginning. Now, here's a very important note. Most of the time, a matured lookalike audience will work better than any detailed targeting. Okay, this is like 99% of the times. So I'd say that detailed targeting is used for new businesses, but once you gather data, once you have enough data, lookalike audiences should work better than any interest targeting 100% of the times. Because the lookalike audience is built out of your own data, right? It's built out of your own customers. And once you build lookalike audiences, the more data you get, the more they update, right? So that's why eventually, when you're making the sales, when you have a good customer base, you'll notice that there's no reason to do any more interest research. There's no reason to find more audiences. It's just about targeting your lookalike audience, because one, it's your most relevant audience because it's built out of your own data, and two, it's unique to you. Okay, nobody else can target your lookalike audience. You're the only one that can target the lookalike audience. Of course, people can target the people in your lookalike audience, because eventually a lookalike audience is an audience like any other audience, and there's still regular people on Facebook that are part of other audiences that people can target. But still, you have that lookalike audience. It's unique to you, and it will probably work better than any other audience that you target. Of course, after you have that data, and if it doesn't work better than interest targeting, then you probably don't have that data yet, enough data yet. And again, we're gonna go much more deeper into that later on, but it was just important for me to clarify that. Okay. Now, with detailed targeting, we basically have three main types of targeting. Okay, so we have demographics, we have behaviors, and we have interests. So demographics are basically reaching people based on education, employment, household, lifestyle details. Now, a lot of this data is only available for the US. Okay, so only if you are in the US, you can actually do a lot of these targetings. Now, this is basically taken from not a lot, but some of it is taken from third-party data. So it's not always 100% accurate. And don't feel bad that if you're not in the US, because I'm not in the US either, and I don't use 99% of the demographics, and we're still killing it with Facebook ads, and we know hundreds of people that are killing it with Facebook ads without having these options. They're not that much of a gold mine. It's just important for me to tell you that so you understand it. So demographics is anything from the education that the person has to the field of study, school, ethnicity, how much they're worth, the generation, are they homeowners, are they renters, what type of home do they have, is it like a condo, is it a house, any life events, are they parents, and so on and so on. Okay, so that's demographics, that's demographical targeting. Okay, so after that we have behaviors. Now behaviors is usually, most of behaviors are third-party data. Okay, in a second we're gonna dive deep. We're gonna dive into the ad set, and I'll show you like what's available if you don't really know how to work with it. So with behaviors, you basically reach people based on purchase behaviors or intents, device usage, and more. And again, some of the behavior data is available for US audiences only. And again, don't feel bad because we don't use we don't use behaviors at all, except maybe people that travel, and a few more that are available for anybody around the world. But like 90% of the behaviors we don't use. And I'm saying that as somebody that has lived in the US and had the options that I'm talking about here, and I did most of the time that I did Facebook ads and most of the time that I did work was outside the US. And literally both of the times I probably had the same results. Okay, that by me being in the US and having more options, I barely even used those options because there isn't really a big efficiency with them. So don't feel bad about that. Now, behaviors, like I said, anything from this is taken from third-party data, so a lot of this isn't really accurate. Okay, so this is just basically what Facebook thinks of you. So what kind of vehicle do they drive? Are they looking to buy a vehicle? Business owners, do they donate to charity? Expats, job roles, and so on and so on. Okay, do they travel? And this is, again, this is third-party data. This isn't accurate. And finally, we have the interests, which will be your most used targeting. And interest is basically anything that the user is interested in, from pages that they like to posts that they share to apps that they use. If you liked a cat photo, then Facebook will look at you as a cat lover. If you shared a charity for saving elephants in Thailand, then Facebook will look at you as an elephant lover. And so basically, this is the most data that Facebook has on you, okay? Because this is your day-to-day activity on Facebook. What do you like? What do you share? What do you react to? What kind of videos do you watch on Facebook? And so on and so on. Now, the best tool for interest research is basically Google and Audience Insights, which we'll get to in a second. Now, targeting really plays a huge role in the success of your campaign. Okay, it's probably the number one thing in the success of your campaign, because you can literally build the best campaign in the world, but if you put that campaign in front of a wrong audience, it will never succeed. So before we really go into the research process, it's important that you first understand how to really think about targeting. Okay, now your targeting depends on what your product offer is, right? You must ensure that your targeting isn't too broad unless your offer is broad. Okay, if your offer is broad, then it's okay. But usually more broader offers are more harder to sell because the angles that I would recommend to stay away from broad offers, just because it's harder to deal with broad offers because it's you really need to find an angle with it. With more niche specific offers, first of all, you're a lot less competitive, and second of all, it's much more easier to market to a specific person. And that you're really narrowing in on the avid part of your market, okay, the people that actually want to buy. And again, it's basically there's a lot of things that come into play here. Very broad audiences, very broad targeting can be used if you have a very matured pixel, if you have a lot of data, and you just let Facebook do most of the work. But if you don't have a lot of data, then you'd probably want to stick with targeted audiences. But don't be afraid to try different things. The whole purpose of Facebook advertising is to test and test and test and see what works. But I would recommend, if you're starting out, if you're in a new business, start with a targeted interest, very targeted like interests, and work from there, okay, until you have enough data to build lookalike audiences, so then you can go there. Because I'll be honest, eventually you'll only deal with lookalike audiences unless you target like worldwide, which is like hundreds of millions, right? So let's use the boxing industry, for example. Let's say we're selling boxing products. Now, you might think to target Muhammad Ali or like Mike Tyson or ESPN, because that's the connotations that come up in your mind when that's at least for me, when I think about boxing. Muhammad Ali comes up into my head, Mike Tyson, ESPN, and these are people that are famous for boxing, right? And ESPN, which is there's like a sports network, so that's the things that pop into my mind. But basically, that's way too broad. Okay, now why is that way too broad? Because Muhammad Ali is literally an international celebrity. Okay, anybody can like Muhammad Ali, and I'll get to that as well in a second. What I like to do is the no one else would trick. Okay, what is the no one else would trick? It's basically you gotta think, what would person that is enthusiastic about boxing, what will he know, or who will he know, and that person that isn't enthusiastic about boxing won't know. So for example, Muhammad Ali will be literally anybody that anybody alive knows who Muhammad Ali is, right? You don't have to be a boxer or enthusiastic about boxers to know who Muhammad Ali is. Now, Lennox Lewis. Now, by the way, I'm not a boxing fan. This is just like from initial research. I got up with these names, so I might be mistaken here with how much Lennox Lewis is actually a known boxer and how much Willie Pep is a known boxer. But from the small research that I did, this is what I came up with, and it's for the example, more for the it's more for the example than for actually targeting. So just to clarify that, now you have here Muhammad Ali, which is, if you look at the legend, then targeting Muhammad Ali will give you a lot of people that aren't basically boxers. They can be very very general people that aren't really interested in boxing, but just like Muhammad Ali. Okay, probably if you target Muhammad Ali, you'll target me as well. Okay, because I've probably liked something that's related to Muhammad Ali, even though I've never boxed in my life and I've never thought about boxing. And we have Lennox Lewis, which is a bit more targeted. I'm a lot more targeted than Muhammad Ali. Not everybody knows who Lennox Lewis is. Probably you need to be interested in boxing to know who Lennox Lewis is. And then we have Willie Pep, which is only people that are really enthusiastic about boxing will know who Willie Pep is. No one else would know who Willie Pep is other than very enthusiastic boxers. So, for example, enter your market here, right? Enthusiast would know who XYZ is, but no one else would. So, for example, a boxing enthusiast would know who Willie Pep is, but no one else would. So this is like for you to think on your own business, what it is, and then decide for yourself. So think of it like this. Although Muhammad Ali is a boxer, he's also an international celebrity. So Muhammad Ali is so much bigger than boxing, right? He attracts people who are non-boxers and will eventually be non-buyers. If you think about it, that's not the person to target. That's not the person that will give you those boxers. You can take, for example, Tiger Woods as well. If you go ahead and target golfers or you're selling golf products, probably Tiger Woods won't be a good target because he's a very broad, very very famous golfer, where people that aren't even interested in golf probably know him. You need to find a golfer that no one else would know other than very enthusiastic golfers. So for example, check out the second circle in the image, like Lennox Lewis. A casual boxer, someone who knows a little more about the industry, would know who Lewis is, but not that he would be a terrible person to target. He's more specific than Muhammad Ali, but he's not as specific as we can get, like I said. The central circle is Willie Pep, who is someone that really follows boxing, would know. I don't think I need to put a question mark there, but you understand. A blank enthusiast would read XYZ magazine, but no one else would. Okay, these are the things that you need to think of when you're actually researching your market. Okay, what do they actually do? What does your market actually do? So anything from magazines to stores to celebrities, right? A boxing enthusiast would read a boxing magazine. Anybody else won't read a boxing magazine, right? A blank enthusiast would know who XYZ is, but no one else would. A blank enthusiast would attend XYZ conference, but no one else would. Now, all of these things you can target. Don't forget that certain magazines, certain celebrities, certain conferences, you have the option to target them. Okay? Now, a good way to know if an interest is good or not is to use the Audience Insights tool, which I'm going to go over now. Now, the Audience Insights tool is a really amazing tool, and we usually use it all the time when we want to actually do our audience research and find good targeting. So you just go to your ad manager, and then you have Audience Insights right here. You click that. It should take you to your Audience Insights tool. Now, a quick overview. I'm not going to explain here everything. I don't want this to be too technical, but I do recommend you to play with this a bit to see how it works and to really study this, because it's really cool. It's a really cool tool. What you actually do is you put in interests, okay, and then it basically shows you all the stats of that interest, right? So if I go like, let's say it's like Muhammad Ali, I write them down, USA. These are the people that are interested in Muhammad Ali. From the US, we have 2 million to 2.5 million. 28% women, 72% men, ages. Okay, what pages do they like? What cities they are from. Okay, countries, the people that are in basically this audience. So if you go ahead and target Muhammad Ali, you're basically targeting these people. Okay, these 2 million to 2.5 million. Okay, this is only in the United States. If I remove the United States, we're dealing with 10 to 15 million. Okay, so this is a really good tool. You have really a lot of things here, like the page likes that they like, the demographics, women, men, and a lot of other things that I actually don't even use. I don't really see a benefit. I haven't really seen benefits from them, like activity or household or purchase activities. We haven't really used it too much. I'll be honest, you probably don't need to use it. So there's one thing that will basically tell you if an interest is good to target or not good to target, right? Now, really quick, let me just show you what I'm talking about here so we're on the same page. When you go ahead and you build when you go ahead and you actually target, we're talking about the detailed targeting here, right? So if I go and write Muhammad Ali, I'll have these options, right? I can target Muhammad Ali if I want. Okay, that's 4 million people in the United States. Okay, so you basically want to put here all the most targeted interests that you can find on your business. So let's take, for example, let's check United States. So go here, United States. Usually genders and age, I just leave it like that. I don't deal with that. And let's write Tiger Woods. Okay, let's see what we can find. So Tiger Woods in the US has 1.5 million to 2 million monthly active people, 84% men, 16% women. Now this side, I don't care what this says. Okay, it's not like I'm gonna target only men because of this. Like I said, I want Facebook to do its own work and optimize by itself. But basically a very good way to know if an audience is good is to look on the page likes. Okay, so looking at the page likes basically tells you what the people in this interest, what do they like. Okay, so for example, we got like 1.5 to 2 million people, and these are the pages that they are interested in. What I like to do is I like to check and see how much of these interests, how much of these page likes are related to my niche. So if we're in the golf niche, I want to see at least a 70% relatability here to golf. So let's take like, what's this? The Open, US Open Championship. Let's check these out. Let's see what this is all about. Okay, so this is related to golf. This is related to golf as well. FootJoy, let's check that out. Okay, this is related to golf. It's actually, Tiger Woods is probably actually a good interest to target. If it's basically all of these are related to golf, then it's probably a good interest to target. What I would recommend is to go a bit more deeper, because you got to think about how Facebook ads work in terms of competition. Think about like 100 people that go into the golf niche. Okay, what's the first thing that they will target? Right, they'll target probably Tiger Woods. So by you targeting Tiger Woods as well, you're basically like going head on head with them, directly with your competition. So that's why you want to go a little bit more deeper, right? Even though there's a lot of related page likes, you want to go deeper. But this is the number one thing. This is the number one rule. You want to find interests that have that are similar to your own niche. Okay, so if I go ahead and let's say I'm in let's say Britney Spears, just like random example. If we go ahead and target Britney Spears, you see this? I have like a bunch of just like random celebrity type interests, right? Very, very like broad interests. Marilyn Monroe, Paris Hilton, Christina Aguilera. I don't know who Vanessa Hudgens is. But basically, you want to find audiences. You want to find audiences that you can target that are related to your niche. And the only way to find audiences that are related to your niche is to really look at these page likes, because this is what the people in this audience like. Okay, this is what they like. These are the top categories, the top pages that your audience is interested in. So if I go ahead and like write golf, for example, right, we got 15 million to 20 million. Now if I go ahead and open a few things here, okay, there are gonna be a few golf stuff, but probably a lot of these things are just going to be non-related to golf, right? We got basketball here, we got Auburn Tigers, that's what this is. Yeah, you see, so this is basketball as well. Bubba Watson, Vanessa Williams, so is she a golfer? I wonder, best-selling author to the Olympic, I don't think so. Maybe tennis, she seems like tennis. Oh, and we got Bubba Watson, which is a golfer. But as you can see, most of these page likes aren't related to golf. If we go and I go and open Kim Crawford Wines, this is wine, right? So if I'm gonna go ahead and target golf, if I'm gonna go to my priority tour, right, and I want to target this golf, what's it gonna give me? It's gonna give me just like this random combination of people which aren't really related to golf. Okay, this is going to give us terrible results unless we have a very optimized pixel, but we're not talking about that now. We're talking about actually targeting our specific audience. You can usually notice that as well when it's very, very big. Usually very big audiences tend to be more broad and less related. But the main thing is really to look at the page likes. Okay, so here we have maybe 10-20% of relatability to golf. And most of it is just like random sports that if we target, we'll actually touch on them more than we touch on golf. So that's why it's important to check this. Same thing with boxing. If I go on, all right, boxing, let's see what I can find. So again, 15 to 20 million. I got some boxing stuff here, right? But again, we have some, it's pretty broad, right? We got a lot of things here that aren't related to boxing. So that's why you wanna find the interests that have enough pages that are related to your niche. Okay, so if you're into cosmetics, you won't go ahead and write cosmetics because cosmetics will give you a ton of random stuff. You see we're dealing here with 60 to 70 million, okay? Which you probably don't want to deal with 60 to 70 million because that's extremely broad. You want to go and target it to people that actually are interested in your brand, are interested in your product, right? So we'll go ahead and let's try Sephora, for example. Now Sephora, again, it's a very international brand, and it might be good, but you see, it's okay, but we can actually do better than that because if the number one category is IKEA, then we can probably have a better job with this. Okay, impressions, what's this? Yeah, okay, this is makeup. The more targeted you go, the less competitive it is as well, right? Because, eventually most people are lazy. What do? They find the most broad interests, broad targeting, and they just go on that. But if you go ahead and find more targeted interests, less competitive interests, then you have an upper hand here. So you'll go ahead and find maybe companies that aren't as big, right? That have maybe only 1 million or maybe even less than 1 million. Another thing that I really like to do is I like to open up like an Excel sheet sometimes. And this really depends if you're into e-commerce or lead generation because it's really different from person to person, right? So sometimes if I'm dealing with my own leads, I can go ahead and target Tony Robbins, right? But Tony Robbins will give me very, 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 very broad targeting. Business Insider, Napoleon Hill Foundation, Motivation, Success Magazine, Forbes, which you might think that is related to what I'm dealing with, which it is, but it isn't my ideal audience, right? I'm dealing with people that want to learn Facebook ads. So the number one thing that I'll think of is, first of all, my competition. Okay, so who's my competition, for example? So John Loomer is my competition. Okay, John Loomer is a pretty big Facebook ads guy. And it doesn't really have a lot of interests here, but I know that he is extremely targeted. Okay, because 45 to 50,000 people, and I know that most people that are in this audience are probably interested in Facebook advertising. Okay, and the thing is, we have John Loomer Digital here, we have Facebook Business, which is literally 75% of these interests are related to Facebook, right? So I'll start with this. Another thing that you can do is let's say digital marketer. Okay, just like checking and seeing what we can find. Digital. Or let's check Ryan Dice. Okay, again we have here. I don't know if I'll target Ryan Dice. Maybe, not sure, because there's literally not enough info here. But here's just when Google comes in handy, right? So you can go ahead and target and find basically things like top social media marketers. Disable this. So top 30 most creative social media marketers ranked. Okay, so probably find me people like Gary Vaynerchuk, and very, very, very specific people that probably don't even have an interest. Not everybody has an interest, but you know what? Let's try something. Let's try something more relevant, and something that I can give a better example. So if you go ahead and you target golf, for example, what I like to do is I like to go and check golf magazines. Okay, golf magazines, golf celebrities, and then what you do is you check those interests. Okay, so if I go ahead and I write golf magazines, sometimes images gives me some really good ones. So like Golf Digest, let's check that one. And usually the magazines will give you pretty good audiences, because only enthusiasts read magazines on a certain topic, right? So you can see here that everything is basically related to golf. So that's really, really good. Now, what I usually do is I usually write these down in a separate sheet, okay? And then I'll put it under a specific category. So magazines, for example, and I'll put here the Golf Digest, okay? Stuff like that, Golf Digest, right? Now, it really depends on the business, but I usually like to separate the categories. So in golf, I'll have magazines, right? I'll have celebrities. I think I didn't write celebrities right. Let's check that. No, I did. So celebrities, this is like, and like I said, this is the golf niche. With social media marketing, it might be a bit different. So I'll have celebrities, I'll have stores, right? Maybe I'll have TV shows. Basically, you really want to just like split out your niche and think of many angles that you can go in and target that niche. Now, if I go ahead and find these basically interests, I can find more interests to target. Okay, so I already have Golf Digest. I have, let's check this out, Golf Week, right? So Golf Week, if I go ahead and write that down here, let's see what I can find. Okay, this is another magazine, right? And this one is related as well to golf. So I'll go ahead and write that as well. I don't know what, yes, this is a magazine actually. We've seen that before. So we'll go ahead and write the same exact interest like this, Golf Week. And then basically you keep doing this until you have a pretty big list. And then you can decide if to basically combine them together or to split them or to really test a lot of different angles. Now, it really depends on your business. Okay, like I said, it's different from business to business. If you're into e-com and you're just like drop shipping from AliExpress, there's no real reason to split out like completely different categories and then test and stuff like that. I would just combine everything. But if I would have had a product, which is a brand product, I would try many different angles. I would try targeting the magazine category, so I'll combine all of these together. I'll try the celebrity category, I'll combine all of these together. Stores, TV shows, right? And the thing that what's amazing with the Audience Insights is that you can keep opening up different ones, and then you can find more and more interests. Okay, so golf.com, right? Golf.com. Let's find me something. Let's try a different one. US Open Championship Golf WRX. Let's see what that I can find here. Okay, so we got this one. Make sure to remove older interests so we don't find so we don't like have the data of both of them together. We want data only on one of them at a time. So again, we have here a bunch of related interests that we can keep opening up. And this one is a store probably, right? So let's see what Golf WRX is, and then what we can do is we can decide where to put it. Because this is a website. Okay, this is a store. Oh, it's a store. Yeah, it has equipment as well. Instruction. Nice. So what you can actually do. Let's see if it's more of a store or a website. That's the question. Yeah, it seems like it's more of a website than a store. It's like gives more info than actually sells products. So I'll go ahead and put it underneath. And then I'll open another one. I'll do websites, right? Then I'll put that under websites. Basically, this is for you to experiment with. Okay, as long as you have everything here and related that's to page likes, that's what's important. Okay, that's basically the number one factor. Is the page likes related? If it's more than 70%, then it's related. If it's less, then it starts to be less and less related. Okay, you don't want to deal here with like interests that have a very broad like pages. Like I said, if you go ahead and write, let's take basketball, right? So basketball, we have 45 to 50 million. We have here a bunch of random things, right? My Recipe Magic, Sports Uncut, which is just like, which is sports. Eventually basketball is sports, but, oh, okay, wait, actually this one is specifically an NBA. Yeah, so that might be a good one. But in general, you can see that most of the things here are just like either broad sports or not really related to anything. So that's why we're not going to target basketball. And even if we, let's say you write Michael Jordan, again, we'll probably find here again things that are related to basketball, but not related enough. Okay, like the World Star Hip Hop, Nice Kicks, Kicks on Fire. We want things that are 100% related to basketball. So we'll find a basketball player that not everybody will know, right? Find a basketball player that only basketball players know of. That's the way to go with this. Now, like I said, it really depends on your business model. Okay, you want to be able to break down the targeting and to be able to test from different angles. Okay, using Google, using Audience Insights. There's basically a lot of things that you can do. Anything from magazines to websites to blogs, right? So basketball, blogs, and then what you can do is you can basically see what you can find here. So top 100 basketball blogs, right? And then what you'll do is you'll basically take these blogs and then try them one by one. You'll basically put them in the Audience Insights and see what you can find. Right, inside hoops. Always make sure that you're writing it correctly because sometimes the Audience Insights is pretty buggy. Okay. Okay, sometimes you won't find as well because not everything has a interest. So hang time blog, let's see if we can find that. Nope. Let's see what else. Basketball Australia, VCU. Got this one, which is 15 to 20,000, which is probably too small. I won't deal with this one because there's no info on it. Like, there's not enough info. In general, I won't deal with anything underneath like 40,000, 50,000, just because there's really no reason unless you're very, 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 your niche is extremely targeted. But then I'll be honest, you don't want to deal with niches that have less than like a few hundreds of thousands at least. And when I mean niche, I'm not talking about like the interest. I'm talking about in general the whole niche. So that's why you really want to do your research. Let's say, so we go basketball magazines. And see what's up here. See what we can find. And again, we'll basically find more things that we can just put in our audience insights and see what we can find. So we got, what is this, dime? No, wait, we don't want the United States coin. Here, we got Dime Magazine, right? So 600 to 700,000. Okay, so VN Design, let's see what's that. Okay, yeah, that's... how related is that to basketball? Yeah, that looks pretty related. So we'll continue to look over these. And this one, for example, looks like everything here is pretty much related to basketball. So this will be a good interest. So again, we'll add it to our interest table. Of course, here I already did the golf, but you know what I mean. And then what do? We basically use these interests, right, to release our ads for the targeting. So we'll put them here. Now, you'll get a lot of suggestions from Facebook that will just like give you suggestions. I recommend to check these suggestions before you go ahead and jump onto them, because you want to really check and see if these are related to your niche. Because like I said, some of them won't be really related to your niche, even though it has the name of your niche in it. You want to check to see if the page likes is related. Another thing that's really good to look at is is basically how much of this audience likes certain pages. So here is basically the amount of likes on this page. Okay, and this is the amount of likes on this page from this audience. So Dime, which is the magazine, if you're targeting Dime Magazine, doesn't mean you're targeting the page. It means you're targeting the keyword. But most of the time, it will be most of the page. So if I go ahead and target Dime, if I go ahead and target the Dime Magazine, I'll basically target 288,000 out of this page. Okay, affinity as well is something I like to look at. It's not a big factor for me, but it basically means how much of that audience, what's the likelihood of someone from this audience to like this page compared to everyone else on Facebook. Okay, so this one's 77.2. But usually this is really just correlated with the size of the audience. The bigger the audience, the lower the affinity, and the smaller the audience, the lower the affinity. Sorry, the higher the affinity. The higher the affinity, the more targeted the audience is. But that doesn't mean that the more targeted it is, the more related it is to your niche. It can be just a very small interest where it's just very small, not really related to your niche. So we really want to go over that. Now, basically in a nutshell, it shouldn't be too complicated to deal with the targeting. People make a very big complex problems from targeting, where it should be pretty basic. You shouldn't really be too much into this. Just look for interests that have good pages that are related to your niche, and that's basically it. I'll be honest, there isn't too much to really dive into targeting. Do some Google research, okay? Find things that people don't, that not everybody likes, right? So the example with Muhammad Ali and boxers that are more targeted, or interests that are very broad and aren't really related to what you're targeting, to interests that are more targeted, right? So that's basically what you want to look for. Now, Facebook basically really likes big audiences, okay? And the thing is that because the bigger the audience, okay, do I have something here? Yeah. The bigger the audience, the lower the CPM is going to be, which means the bigger the audience, the less you're going to actually pay for impressions, for 1,000 impressions or whatever. Because when you're dealing with bigger audiences, when you're dealing with very small audiences, then you're going to pay a lot more to get your ad to the same amount of people. So if you're targeting 100,000 audience, you might pay $10, or it won't be $10, but you might pay $8, $7 to reach 1,000 people. But if you target 1 million people, you might pay half of that to reach 1,000 people. That's why bigger audiences are usually better. But I don't mean by bigger, I don't mean broader. I mean just bigger. So if you can combine a lot of very targeted audiences to a big audience, that'll be pretty good for you. Okay? Because you wanna try to get to high numbers of audiences, like big, eventually combine a lot of audiences so you have a big audience to target, but you still want those audiences to be pretty targeted. Okay, that's why I always say try to aim at a minimum of 500,000 combined. So I don't care if one of your interests is 100,000, another one is 30,000, and another one is 50,000. As long as you combine them and they're over 500,000, then you're good. Now sometimes you won't be able to get to 500,000, okay, because sometimes the niche is just very, very targeted. It really depends on your business, but do your research. Target interests that have related pages. Okay, don't deal with interests that are just like all random, unless you have a matured pixel, or your target or your product is very broad. Okay, so those products that are very, very broad. Okay, there are things that are pretty broad. So if your offer is something that can be offered to a lot of different people, where you don't really need a specific niche, then you might be okay. Like for example, let me show you an example. So let's go ahead and check there's a spinner product thingy that here, like things like this. Okay, see this thingy? Let's try videos. So this is a very, very broad product. Okay, spinner limited edition. That usually finds me product pretty fast. Okay. So see, for example, this is a very, very broad product. Okay, this is like I've seen ads with like hundreds of thousands on this. So this is a very, very broad product. Okay, you won't deal with audiences like with 50,000, 100,000. You'll deal with audiences of millions, because there isn't a specific ideal customer for a product like this. Okay, but a turtle necklace. Okay, a turtle necklace, you probably won't target tens of millions. You'll target people that like, you won't see anybody go with a turtle necklace. Only people that have a certain passion for turtles, right? So you'll find things that are related to turtles. Let's see what if I write. Usually I like to write just turtle, or like the niche, and then I find usually like interests that are at least related. It's not like I'm gonna target turtle on my ad. I just use it to find more interests, right? So if I go ahead and write turtle, you say I found like Ocean Defender Hawaii. Let's see what this is. Now this might not be related to turtle, but it is related to like saving the sea animals, right? Saving sea mammals and stuff like that, which might be related to people that like turtles. Maybe the ideal customer of this necklace isn't a fact that he has to love turtles. He or she has to love turtles. Maybe it's just like people that like the whole purpose of saving the sea mammals, right? PETA and stuff like that. But again, this will be probably pretty broad. So we got like elephants here. We got like OXO, which is just like it's just like kitchen stuff. Sea Turtle Incorporated, right? Sea Turtle Conservancy. So these are things, for example, that this is probably very, very targeted. Let's see if it even has an interest though. Yep. So this is Sea Turtle Incorporated. We got 70 to 80,000. Now there is gonna be times where you don't have a lot of pages that are related to the interest, just because there isn't enough pages out there. Okay, that doesn't mean that this interest isn't good. A good way to look at this is to look at how much of this interest like this page. Okay, because you can assume that this is not like Kim Kardashian or Britney Spears, right? That just like anybody likes this, or Michael Jordan. People that probably like this page are probably interested in turtles. Okay, I don't care if we have some stuff here that aren't related to turtles, right? Like this is probably not really related, right? This is like NBC News, CBS News, but still, there's no way that people that like this page don't like turtles. Okay, nobody's just gonna randomly like this page if it doesn't really like turtles. So that's why I would consider this a good interest to target, even though a good percentage here isn't related to turtles. Usually you'll have enough pages here that are related to your niche, but sometimes like situations like this where there's just not enough like turtle pages that they just don't have enough pages that people will like, so they can't show it here because there isn't that many pages, and they're usually pretty small. So that's going to be probably problematic for Facebook. But that's why this is where you need to put your own intuition and think, okay, if out of this interest 76,000 people like this page, okay, and this page actually has only 82,000 people, this is literally like 90%, more than 90%, then probably this is a pretty good interest for turtles. And then I'll keep going over and seeing what else I can find, right? So Sea Turtle Preservation Society, and see what I can find here. And I'll put this again. And again, these things, I'm not doing it now, but what you want to do is you want to save each one of these interests, right? You want to put them in a file, and then you'll target them, okay? So if we go ahead and check this sea turtle, let's see what we can find here. Again, sometimes you have to make sure that you actually check, because the audience insights does get buggy, and then you might lose the you see. So this one has 80 to 90,000. Again, 95,000 likes on Facebook, 90,000 of these people like it. So I don't care. I don't care that a few of these things here aren't related to turtles. Nobody that doesn't like turtles will like this page. Okay, you agree with that, right? It's not, we cannot compare this to like Muhammad Ali or Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods. That people that like Tiger Woods page, just like fans, a lot of them probably don't like Tiger Woods like personally. They're just like fans of him as a celebrity. So here, there's no reason for somebody to like this page if they're not actually fans or passionate about turtles. That's why this would be a good interest to target as well. And then we just continue to go over things and add things to our sheet until we have a good amount of interests, right? And another way as well is to really just like, if I go ahead and just write this in the interests, which is usually one of these, I should sometimes be able to find some cool things here, right? You see sea turtle concerns, you're friends of sea turtles. So what I want to do is I want to check these, okay? I want to check these and see how, how are they, okay, if they're good. Now, a lot of times, most of the interests will be good. That's why this video is pretty long, but usually it won't take you too much time to do good audience research. Okay, some niches will be a bit more complicated, some niches are going to be more easy, but in general, you shouldn't waste too much time on this. Okay, find some good interests. Don't overanalyze this. Find some good interests. Make a good list of like 10, 20 interests. Sometimes you don't have 10, 20 interests. So anything that will give you a good chunk of audiences to basically target. And then you can decide either to go and combine all of them together or to separate them, right? So by separating, I mean you'll have like one ad set. So I'll have like this ad set will target magazines. Then I'll have another ad set which targets celebrities. Then I'll have another ad set that targets websites. It really depends on your product and your budget. Eventually, of course, you'd rather split test and see what works the best. But even if you don't split test and you just put everything together, as long as doesn't get to millions and millions and millions, Facebook will eventually optimize on itself and find what works for you. Okay, and that's basically all there is. And on the subject of targeting, like I said, things to remember is that try to aim at a minimum of 500,000, and usually most of the time you want to look at the page likes, because this is what the audience likes. Okay, so if the page likes, if I would have seen here like Kim Kardashian, Chris Brown, Dan Bilzerian, I probably won't target Sea Turtle Preservation Society. And again, another very important thing is to look at how much of the audience actually likes this page. And you can see here, there's a lot of things that you can find here, right? So you can see like 90,000 people like this page out of 95,000, 53,000 like this page out of 206,000, and I can check and see these ones as well. And again, don't be afraid to check Google for like cool things, for magazines, to stores, to celebrities, and so on. So let's say if I write Turtle Magazines, right? Okay, that these are probably not our potential audience, but you get what I'm saying. And that's basically it. That's it for targeting. And we're gonna go over one more thing in the next video, which is flex targeting, which is really good if you want to dial deeper into an audience. If sometimes it's too broad, even though like even if you target like a small audience, maybe even 100, 200,000, sometimes that's still too broad in a way that you can actually go and target more deeply. So I'll go over that and show you really some really cool things that you can do, and I'll see you there.